One of the joys was to look at different churches or buildings with Prabhupada. We started in San Francisco. In fact, in his pragmatic way, he would teach me not only Krishna consciousness, but he would teach, he'd look at the cracks in the structure. He'd check for all of those. And he also advised, check if there's litigation already going on before you buy something. So we were looking at a YMCA building, I think it's on the end of Endell Street. And we were on the second floor. There was a basketball court, and it would have been a perfect temple. And then we went down in the basement, and the lights went out. And suddenly I feel Prabhupada's hand take my hand, and we were mutually in the dark. And I tried not to be selfish at the time, but I felt the Shakti, the energy of his hand, but then I had the devotional service to do. So even though it was just a nice feeling to hand in hand with your guru, so I went against the wall very stealthily. There was a ray of light that came from the second floor, so slowly I found the stairs and his hands were in mine, and then we went up the stairs. And then we were on the first floor, and for a little while he held my hand and then just in a transcendental way, very softly, let go. I felt Vipralambra separation even though he was there. And for at least a week, when I washed, I kept the hand out. We were invited to a conference of what's called Mayavadis, and Mayavadis are those who think they become one with God. We went from Bombay to Amritsar, and I rode first class in the train with him. And it was nice because we saw Kurukshetra, the place where the Bhagavad Gita was spoken, and then he was talking about even watering the desert, green would come. He was concerned about that. And so we get to this gathering of impersonalists who think they become God. And they were arguing philosophically. I guess I should tell. I was speaking, and they were just saying we become one with God. And so I was saying there's variety in the spiritual world, variegatedness. And that's what makes it beautiful. Radha and Krishna, and peacocks, and flowers, and trees, and rivers. And it's not some patriarchal, white, bearded God that's vindictive for everything you do. It's loving relationship and playful, cowherd. So this is our idea. And so I was saying there's variety in the spiritual world. We don't become one with God. And even if you get that bliss, you can't maintain it and function just like we can in Bhakti Yoga. We can function and be in bliss 24 hours a day. So I was saying, and so we even make choices like we choose our husband or wife. And then I said, and that's why we eat prasadam, mercy food from Krishna, and not stool in the street. So they gave me the hook. They took me off the stage, and the man takes me to Prabhupada, and Giriraj takes over, and he was talking similarly. So they take, all he heard was stool in the street, Swamiji. And I said, Prabhupada, I was making the point that we make choices and there's variety in the spiritual world, and that's why we choose our husband or wife. And I said that's why we eat prasadam and not stool in the street. So Prabhupada looks at the man and says, my American and European disciples use graphic examples. So the man was satisfied. So then the man leaves, and Prabhupada says, that's good example. Can I use that? Well, sure, Prabhupada, you can use it. So then we had to make sure everybody had a place to sleep. and there was no place for myself and Giriraj. So we had to go in the midst of the Mayavadi impersonalists. And before I could sleep, sure enough, there's a man who comes over and says, "We're all one with God." And I said, "Well, we have the same qualities, but not the quantity of God." And he says, "No, you don't understand. The spark and the fire are the same." I said, "You can't cook a meal with a spark." He still didn't get it. It was very cold, winter time. He had a blanket, and he took a thread from it. He said, "See? The thread and the blanket are the same." Again, Chaitra Guru entered my intelligence. I gave him the thread and took his blanket and used it as a pillow. 15 minutes later, he says, "Please give me my blanket back." I said, "You said the thread and the blanket are the same. So is your philosophy practical or just not? If you want your blanket back, you've got to bow down before my Guru Maharaj and reject this philosophy," which he did. And then we went and addressed all the solicitors. And it was really funny because with Prabhupada's Bengali accent, he called the lawyers liars. "You liars." So then I'm so peaceful as again with Swamiji, and we went to the Golden Temple. Back then you could. The Sadhuji Sikhs Golden Temple, and Prabhupada was very impressed with the walk and the food program. They feed people in Gurdwaras. And we went to the Lakshmi Narayan Temple there. And so I was in Amritsar with Prabhupada, and now we're going back to Bombay. And again, I'm in the first class compartment with Prabhupada. Jamuna, my wife, great cook, asked the people in the train to use their kitchen so they could prepare prasadam for Prabhupada. They said no. She said, "Then I'm going to jump from the train." And Kausalya said, "No, don't." And so they took her seriously, so then she was able to cook. And she brought it. And then Prabhupada was lying down, and I was across the way. There was baggage all over. Some other people left baggage. And then Prabhupada said, "Come here." And I didn't know what to do. Was I going to sleep by his side or put his lotus feet in my lap or his lotus head? But I rearranged the baggage and lay down, and he said, "Oh, good." But he was caring for me. And he was throwing, again, Mahaprasadam on my plate, which I always liked, even across because I would react like a puppy dog. And so then we're on the way to Bombay, and we're in the Delhi station. And there's the station. People, dude, pani, water, milk, samosas. They come and offer things for people to buy. I'm just in the station. A man comes in, the cheapest man in the world. He says to Prabhupada in Hindi, "I can help start a temple in Delhi. I'm on the way to Bombay." Suddenly, Prabhupada turns to me and says, "This man says he can help start a temple in Delhi. Get down. See what you can do." He takes 50 rupees out of someplace, gives it to me. The man was so cheap, he tried to get all 5 of us. Prabhupada said, "Who will you take?" Jamuna, Giriraj, Gopal, Bano, myself. Bano's a Maharaj now from Japan. The man tried to get us on his motorcycle. He was so cheap. We made him pay for a taxi. Didn't want to do it. I saw him unlocking a door and praying to dead batteries that they would get charged again so he could play his radio. He puts us on a temple, Old Delhi, New Delhi. Weasels and monkeys in the rooms. So this was our Delhi. But it took a while. In the suburb, now we have a grand one. Prabhupada was with the mayor of Delhi, Hansraj Gupta, and the mayor, there were signs, this land is for recreation. So Prabhupada said, give it to us, we're recreation. He saw the wide envelope. And Hansraj said, wait, Swamiji, education, next plot. Oh, give it to us, we're education. No, Swamiji, just wait. The next one was for spiritual use, which he gave.